with that Lysol.
Who has had this mic
Lysol
in their
doesn't
mouth?
even kill COVID.
You know what? I'm trying to go live here.
It doesn't?
Welcome back to Attitude for Gratitude's
Hello.
podcast, the weekly podcast.
Luke, do you want a mic?
Mike,
Do you want a microphone to talk into?
there you go. Move on over. You can put those headphones on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you didn't
We
want
got
to
a
or not.
special guest in the house tonight,
Yeah.
and it's not me.
Yes,
It is not. I
it's-
am not the special guest
Tonight,
tonight.
you know what I put for a headliner?
Is this the first? Is he the youngest person ever to be on the podcast?
To do what he's doing now, yes.
Excellent.
You are the youngest.
You've had a younger in the room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Emily Mendoza, the one who was at the club here, she brought her newborn in.
oh,
Like,
wow. Okay.
Very newborn. Remember
Okay.
that? Weren't you
Now
here?
pull this so that it's right by your mouth. So when you talk, yeah, right there. Say
And now,
something.
Yep. Just say anything.
I don't know.
There
you heard
go.
yourself, right?
Yeah.
Was that loud enough? All right. So
Yeah.
sorry, audience.
Perfect.
We're back. We're live. We
Hello.
got Matt, Luke, and Alaine in the house. We're bringing you this show tonight from 2218 First Avenue South. This is 2218 Alano Club, world's longest continually running Alano Club.
Heyo.
And it's got a vision statement. And what that vision statement is to be the premier Alano clubhouse, serving the community by offering support, strength, and hope to those seeking recovery and their families. Our values here are recovery, wellness, inclusiveness, and innovation. Every week, you guys do hear me share about what this club has to offer, and it has a ton to offer. And what I want to do, bear with me real quick to make sure that this show is being heard across the land of Facebook peoples, and that you guys can hear it. Awesome. If you're
Hello.
looking for a meeting, come on down here. There's meetings of all different types of fellowships, from Narcotics Anonymous to CMA to AA to Al-Anon to women's meetings to men's meetings to LBGTQ plus sensory-friendly meetings. Those are on Friday nights. We're going to have some of them in the room here coming up in the next month to explain exactly what that means, because I do not want to disrespect, and I would like them to come on to tell you guys exactly what that is. Basically, we have all forms of different types of recovery here at 2218. Another big thing that's happening for this show is it's going to be taking on another name of Will Work for Recovery's Attitude for Gratitude. Starting next week, we'll be kicking off our first show at Will Work for Recovery with Jordan S. as our first guest. And we're going to have a lot of the
Hi,
board
Jordan.
members on as well. I know Paul and Carolyn and Gracie and Todd and Chris and about 4 other people will be hopping on for like the first 10, 15 minutes just to tell you guys what's going on. Is someone's alarm going off?
It's not ours. We're good.
Not ours. We're good.
We're good.
Yeah. So, hey, Elena, Matt, show's moving to Will Work for Recovery, if you guys didn't know that by now.
So I get to be the last guest ever at 2218.
Not really.
Actually, just so you know, you'll be leaving before me, so actually I will be the last guest at 22.
Yeah. I told her that you guys might not be here for the whole,
fair.
the
That's
whole
fair.
shizzle. But here's the thing: is it's not
Thank
the
you
last
for
show.
I had to one up you.
That's all good.
It's not the last show at 2218. What we're going to be doing for this first, I don't know how long we're going to do it, but it's going to be like a hybrid. A couple weeks here, a couple weeks there. We're going to split it up because we do still have Rick and Jesse who do the 4-step workshop every Wednesday at 6 o'clock for free here at the Alano. We have a show every month, once a month with them on, and we do a step a month. So we're not having any plans on stopping that. So whether we only do one show a month here, it'll continue to do that. It'll just be kind of a hassle bringing all this equipment back and forth every week, but it's well worth it for my recovery. I've explained it time and time again that this is my Friday night meeting with a ton of ego involved.
What?
Give it a shot. No, we can try. Yeah, I gave young Luke a bottle of the aloe drink, and he hasn't tried it. What was your thoughts of it?
He tried it.
No, before this, have you ever had it?
Yeah.
You have. So you didn't think it was weird having those little chunks of whatever?
No.
Can Dad try it?
No.
No sharing for Dad tonight. So, like I was saying before too, is like, I really want to make this clear to anyone listening. I put my phone number up there. You see it scrolling along the bottom. And what I want to tell you guys is, like, if you're struggling, or if you just need an ear to talk to, or if you're down on yourself, whatever the case is, like, just please reach out. You can reach out to me, and if I do not answer, please keep trying or leaving a text message or make some other connections or get down to a meeting. You just heard me tell you about 4 different fellowships that this club has a meeting every single day of so many different calibers of fellowships of different anonymous meetings. We'll Work for Recovery has 1 or 2 or 3 every single day as well. You're in the state of Minnesota, and if you are in recovery or you're looking for recovery, you can't throw a rock without finding some form of recovery pretty close to you anywhere in the metro. So basically, utilize this podcast or this the comment sections, like utilize this and start networking. You're worth the fight, and our phones work. So no, I had to do the same at the beginning to make sure that it was working. But
I'm sending my mom a link right now.
please do.
Yeah.
One of our first supporters of the show was Mrs. Matt K. Well, I was about to say your last name, Mrs. But I don't know.
Audrey K.
Audrey K.
Not Mrs. Matt K.
All right. Yeah, because that would be off. Yeah, so Miss Audrey, thank you again. That could have been anonymous, and I'm wrecking things. All I can say is that we have a lot of support for this club, for this show, and it's going nowhere. Like, there's still going to be a Friday night podcast, recovery podcast. And as always, it's interactive. If you have any ideas for the show, if you want to be on the show, if you notice that I've skipped a question you wish I would have asked, or there's something you want me to elaborate on, just put it in the comment section, whether you're listening on YouTube or on Facebook. And if you're not comfortable with that, just text my phone. The number's on the bottom. I'll also put it in the comment section. Let's see. Did I miss anything? If audio sounds terrible, if there's something we need to know about that we don't know about, put it in the comment section or text me directly. So again, if you are struggling, like, fight for yourself. Like, stick around, listen to what Matt has to share, what Alaine has to share, or go back to some of the past shows and listen to some of the past guests talk about how their lives changed when they found a little bit of recovery or just found whatever difference for themselves. No, that doesn't sound right. Just check out some of the old shows. You can't get what I got if you didn't do what I did. But we always say, like, go have your own experience, too. So, who do I have in the house?
I'm an addict named Matt.
Hey, Matt. Who are you?
I'm Elena.
Hey, welcome back, Elena. And you know what? Welcome back, Matt.
Hey, thank you.
Who are you again? What? Your name was Larry? No. Luke.
Say your name.
Derek. We're playing games tonight. I love it.
It's an anonymous program.
It's an anonymous program. So we got young Matt's young boy in the house, and Matt's lady friend in the house too. Who, if you want to be on the mic later, you kick Matt real hard. He'll fall over. You can grab the mic and talk. Matt, how is it going?
Timmy, it's going well.
Is today some type of milestone for you?
I turned 41 today.
You know what? That's my audience clapping. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
He turned 41 today, Elena.
It's about time he caught up to me.
I don't think that's how it works, but so how do you feel?
I don't feel as old as it sounds to me.
Emotionally, spiritually, like, what do you mean you don't feel as old as?
My body doesn't hurt as bad as I thought it would.
When you're like younger and you're like, when I'm 41, I'm gonna be. Like,
no, it's just when I think of even right now, when I think of being 41 years old, that's old to me, you know. And I don't. When I think about myself, like, yeah, my body hurts, but it's been that way for 20 years, so it doesn't. It's
right.
Nothing new there. I mean, emotionally, spiritually, like. That's a moving target, if you will. You know what I mean? That's fluctuated for some time, for a long time. So I had no idea what to expect at this age. Yeah, I don't know. I think part of it is, and if you guys think I'm not talking the way I normally talk, it's because my son's in the house and I don't want to use some of the language that I would normally use. But let's just say I thought I would, like 20 years ago, you know, when I would have thought of what my life would look like at 41, I would have thought I had my things together more. You know, I would have thought I would have had it all together, you know. And
20 years ago, or what do you?
Yeah, well,
like when you were growing
20
up?
years ago, I was in prison. I turned 21 in prison. So
Okay.
actually, we were talking about that earlier today about my
Bad birthday days.
yeah.
Oh, huh? You
Thanks.
celebrate? Yeah. let's do something fun here.
Yeah.
What did you do on your 21st birthday? Like,
Well, so leading up to that, I got a job in the supply room, laundry room on the floor I was on in the North Dakota State Penitentiary. I specifically got that job so that I could make hooch in the closet there because there was, they hid not hid, but they stored the Christmas stuff there.
Yeah.
And there was, those giant Rubbermaid totes, and perfect. That I can make some hooch in there. It was terrible. I drank it on my 21st birthday because, I turned 21. I had to have a drink,
Had you been in there long by that time?
I had been in for 9 months at that time. I went in on Halloween of 2002. So then I turned 21 July 21st of 2003.
I didn't bring this up before, and I usually do, and I'm sorry I didn't, where I say, hey, is there anything we don't want to bring up? Or that same spiel.
A little late for that now, Tim.
I know, but I hear what you already have brought up, so you're comfortable talking about this, I assume.
Yeah, there's some stuff we were going through talking about, Ashley asked me what's my best birthday memory, and I was trying to come up with them, and I said, honestly, I could tell you a lot more bad birthday memories that I have, and there's a few of them that involved Luke's mother, and I said, I'm not going to talk about those today. When you get older, I'll tell you those stories, but that's not fair to tell you that stuff at this age. So I'm not going to do that. So, some of that stuff, if there's also some stuff going on with them and, him and his brother and my time with them and things like that I don't think it's appropriate to talk about in front of him, so I won't. But I'll allude to it, And,
I know. We've talked about some other things, which that's not anyone's business unless you bring it up and make it their business. What I do want to bring up, I think that was a great question, Ashley. I was just at a birthday where this little boy turned 13, and one of the cousins was like, so what was your best memory over this last year? And what do you hope happens by the time you turn 14? I'm like, that's some good questions to ask on a birthday. So instantly when you're like, Ashley asked me what was your best birthday memory, I'm thinking oh, she's one of the ones that asks good questions. I need to talk to you because I'm a host of something where I need to ask good questions. Matt, what's been the highlight of this last one full year of yours that you can recall?
Ooh, the highlight of the year.
Or a highlight.
Meeting Ashley.
Ooh. Oh, and a wink.
I'm not just saying that because she's sitting here, but
no, and I'll verify that Matt's not the type to pander on a conversation. He gives it to you the way it needs to be given. But go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, meeting Ashley and starting a relationship with her and a family with her. Yeah, I'd say that would be the highlight of the last year.
And you guys are in a relationship, and you guys live together, correct?
We do, yeah.
All right. And Matt.
Tim.
We are on a recovery podcast.
We are. Let's talk some recovery.
And we are. And I talked to you just recently about some recovery stuff. And,
we did.
How has recovery been looking for you lately? As of this, let's just go with this last year.
It looks different, man. It
How
looks
so?
different. And I'm trying to, that's interesting you bring that up because you and I have had more talks in the last 3 to 4 months, 6 months than we've had in the last 3 years probably. And
I think real conversations would be a better way of
more though, you know what I mean?
You're right. You're right.
There's just been whatever it is, more substance, whatever. And I appreciate that. You've helped me through some difficult situations and anyways, so what was the question?
Question is, over this last year, your recovery, I did ask you something about an event that just occurred, and you're like, let me just regurgitate the way I heard it was, I don't do recovery the way that it used to be because I don't get to do it the way I do because now life is here and I have responsibilities. So recovery can't be a 24/7 thing.
This is the conversation you're referring to. Yeah. So it looks different to me today, Pig just happened last weekend. Most of my, I've got a little over 6 years now, and most of my recovery, Pig would happen on my birthday weekend. And that is my favorite recovery event, my favorite NA event. And somebody asked me if I was going this year, and I was like, no, I can't go. I have to work on Saturday, and then I don't know what else I had going on. I worked late on Friday, real late on Friday. I had to work on Saturday. It was last weekend.
It's not every weekend?
It's every other weekend.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Well, and that's, like I said, and I am interrupting because I want to verify or clarify what
It's
I
what
said.
you do.
I am great at interruptions.
We love you, Tim.
Well, I wanted
for who
to
you
just
are.
clarify how I told you, like, I took from that conversation the way I just said that was like, because it's not that you said some smart-assy thing. It was more or less like,
I probably did.
I was like, did you go to Pig? I don't know if you're like, I don't do those type of things no more, or something you said, but it wasn't that way though. I know you didn't mean it as like, oh, I don't do recovery no more. It was like, you didn't say I don't get to, but I kind of got that feeling. That's basically because of responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, life looks different to me today than it did, I mean, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, to me, if I'm just staying in the same place, chances are I'm going backwards. And I've heard that before. You know, if you're not growing in if you're not working towards you're working for your recovery, you're working towards your relapse.
Right.
And I look at that as far as like growth in my life too. Like if I'm not growing and moving on to something not necessarily bigger, better, whatever, just different. If I'm not growing in some way, to me, that like I'm not really living my life. I'm not the type to just. I'm not a very good at routine. You know what I mean? Like I can get into a routine, and I'm more productive. I'm more effective. Like because I'm a human being. I've had to learn that about myself. I'm like, oh, I'm just not a routine person. Like I just don't like. Well, like human beings seek routine, and that's why we have routines is because my dad's told me this before is like one of the reasons I do the same things like all the time every day is because it actually frees up the rest of the time I have because I don't have to think about those things that I know I want to do every day, whether it's
Your dad
reading.
put it that way?
Yeah, he said it because I looked at it like, well, you're a slave to your routines. All you do is the same thing every day, all the time. When I'm not really looking at like the variables that he has and the free time he has, and that's where he says like it actually frees me up, so I'm not thinking about those things because I always know what I'm doing and what time I'm doing it, and then the times when I don't have those things that I'm doing, it's more freedom to me.
I think that's awesome. I've never heard it that way, but to me that makes sense. Like, okay, if 9 to 5, whatever, I have my job, I do this every Tuesday, this, that, it's set in stone. So I know now I've got this much time, do whatever I want, or what it does. It sounds more freeing, honestly.
I'm still torn on it. I don't really know how I feel about it, but I'm trying to get there. But like I said, I do know that about myself is I am more productive and I function at a higher level when I'm in a routine, when I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Whether any type of routine, whether that's working out, waking up, like meditation, step work, meetings, whatever it is. So yeah.
Well, then with that, I don't know how long you guys have known each other or like what I want is, I'm not sure if you heard last week's show, but near the end when I talked about the following guest, I went on and on about who you were, but like the growth of Matt K kind of came up. And it's like, I think about AFL and like even Phoenix, like recovery I don't want to say recovery because I know it's still part of your life, but being actively involved with the meetings scene and event scene, let's say the first 4 years versus the last 2 years, it's night and day, isn't it?
Yeah. If I don't know that I would have relapsed 3 years ago if I did my recovery then the way I do it today, but I was afraid to, which is why I did things differently back then. I was afraid I would relapse if I would have done today. I might go to an in-person meeting once every 2 weeks at best. You're talking about 1 to 2 a month right now. I do online meetings, which
there's so many things I want to say about that. Like just the beginning of Phoenix.
Exactly.
I talk
think
about
how
the way
different it is today.
Like your dad fought for this place to have this meeting going on, and like I don't even know why I just cued it towards him.
Go for it.
Like Matt broke some rules here at this club to make sure there was an in-person meeting, and
Fuck the
every
government.
single day to have a meeting for a certain type of recovery group, You broke some rules, and at the time, some would even say the law, because we weren't even, who knows, there's such a gray area about what you could and couldn't do during COVID, but to think, to hear you say what you just said, like, this is where I would have liked to be able to drag Tad in here too, because he could have probably elaborated even more
That's
about
who called
that.
me right before we started.
I figured
Okay.
that. But think about that, Matt, what you said, like 2 meetings a month maybe, and online meetings versus the Krebs from 2.
Well, no, don't get me wrong. 1 to 2 in-person
Yeah.
meetings. I'm on a meeting almost every day.
Yeah,
so I still do that.
on Zoom.
On Zoom, yeah. And I don't, that's the thing, like, mainly it's because I drive for a living. I live in Cambridge and I work in Minneapolis, so I'm commuting close to 2 hours a day. And, like, it's something, I get fed off of it. My recovery gets fed off of it. It allows me to share, like, I mean, it is a meeting. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
It's not a Zoom meeting. It's a Narcotics Anonymous meeting that just happens to meet in a Zoom room. 3 years ago, you wouldn't have heard me say it that way.
Ooh.
I would have
Talk
told.
about evolution, dude. Talk about evolution and the calm. Like, there's some, and it's hard for me because I'm still not sure how you would react to some of those things. Like, I would assume the growth versus just how you were about a lot of things versus how you are now.
Rigid? Was I rigid? Tim?
I don't even know that, but like I was telling her, like you never, and I'm a big proponent of saying Matt K is one of the biggest guys who will not co-sign some shit. He won't, and if you're on some BS, he'll be the first to let you know. But I think like a lot more what I see now is like you're not even gonna waste your energy on half of that stuff.
I don't even know if it's so much as that. It's maybe, but I think part of it is that a lot of what I said before was like my perspective and my opinion, which, right, wrong, or indifferent, unless you're asking for it, you don't need to hear that. You know what I mean? So that's one place where I hope that I've grown, where
You've changed.
like if somebody asks, I might, like, if it's something that's really harming you or harming someone else, if it's going to harm someone else, I'll definitely tell you. If I think it's harming you, whether I care about you or not, I'm probably still going to tell you. But if it's something that's harming you and I don't think you're going to listen anyway, and I don't want to argue with you because that just doesn't do anything for my life, and I think I'm wasting my breath to tell you, I'll let you go learn your lesson on your own. And that's somewhere I've changed. Like, I used to waste, like you said, waste some energy
I don't
arguing.
like saying that. Or that what I'd say is like, and this can like hurt in a weird way, but like you watch your bobbers so much more in a different way today than you did before. It seems like before, it's not like you're watching my bobber, but if I was around you and something's being said, whether it was to you or not, you were going to not put your 2 cents in, but you were going to speak your opinion on it. And
So you're saying I would put my 2 cents in?
yeah, I know I'm being friendly about it, but I'm making sure you know what I'm exactly saying. So
No, I hear what you're saying.
it's all good. To me, it's like, these are compliments through my eyes. Through someone else's eyes, maybe it's not. But I'm like, the growth of Matt K. It's so much different. But does, in return, you not waste, I say energy, but you arguing or doing these things, isn't that bringing more, does it bring you more peace not to get involved with half that crap, or does it just have you more shit in your head?
No, it absolutely brings you more peace, and that's where, like, doing the online meeting is very helpful. Like so there's a plus and a minus to it. Like, one of the pluses is that I'm not always around the same people all the time, so that and that's also the negative. It's the same thing. Like, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say here.
Well, like, would you say that one of the positives now are, like, when you're going to in-person meetings, let's say you return to the same in-person meeting every single Tuesday, and you see some of the shit that's going on there that you're like, this isn't to our principles, this isn't to whatever. You don't see that on a Zoom meeting as much you see what I'm saying? There's some more, I see there could be more headaches or more problems that you could, I guess what I'm doing is finding the pluses in a Zoom meeting versus an in-person, where you don't have to deal with some of the politics and headaches of an in-person meeting versus Zoom.
Right. So
God, that took me long to get to that.
It did.
Wow.
It's all right, Tim. We love you. I would say there's, yeah, okay, yeah, and some of the biggest differences are that, and to be fair, I didn't come into this online meeting when it first started. There were some serious growing pains when it started that I've heard about. I came in around when it was about a year old is when I started going on it. So I've been going on it for a little over a year now, a year and a half, because I think it started. No, it started in COVID. So I've been going for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. Do you do like an every
I've
day
been going for 2 years
that New
now.
York one or that 24-hour-a-day one, or is it
Very rare? I'll jump on once in a while, but it's the International Online Marathon Meeting of Narcotics Anonymous.
That's the one you do? Where there's always-
www.iommna.com. Might be .org, but I think it's .com.
Say that one more time.
www.iommna.com. That's the website. There's a link to there's a Zoom link there. It's got the password on the website. Like, so here's how I would put it. The people that are doing service on that meeting, I would say have a stronger grasp of the traditions, the steps, the literature, and even the ones that don't. Because, I mean, we have like 75 trusted servants that host on that meeting, host or co-host, because there's 168 one-hour time slots a week that have to get filled.
That's crazy.
So even with 75 people doing service, that's over 2 hours for each person. To keep it.
You hold a position in one of those meetings.
I did.
Tonight.
It was, yeah. I called it Friday Night Lights. I would host for 2 hours. I still fill in right now, but I had to step down from my commitment on there because I started a new job about a month ago. But my point with that, to get back to what I was saying, it's not like it's like there's a lot of people with like multiple decades clean that are either involved with world services or their region, or they've been doing service work for a very long time in Narcotics Anonymous. And that's who, like a few of those people are the ones that first got this meeting going,
founded it.
and they stay involved in it, which is one of the problems I've seen with local meetings is there's very few old timers that, I'm not going to give shout outs to the people that there are, but we all know there's a certain handful of people,
And that's it,
with
a handful.
with
here in the cities.
30, 40, 50 years clean that are still heavily involved in Narcotics Anonymous. And God bless them, they do their best to spread themselves throughout the meetings, but there's absolutely no way they can get to every one of them. And then I can't speak for it because I don't go to a meeting that has like 30, 40 people with 20 years clean. Like I don't go to many in-person meetings right now. But from what I hear is there's some meetings where like some old timers just like to go and be there together, which is, that's their business. If that's what they want to do, great. But the problem with that is when you go to a meeting that's got mostly newcomers, got a couple people with a couple years, nobody really has a firm grasp on the traditions, the steps, the literature, whatever it is. And I mean,
I can speak on that for Phoenix.
Yeah.
We watched that happen. A few
3 years was an old timer for us?
Yeah.
And we were old timers.
Yep, it was. I mean, it's not that that's sad. It's just, it's what it was.
It's what it is.
And some of them boys from Fresh Start came to help at times. Like I was just down there. I don't know if you've known the progress of it. New board came in and they helped with some financial stuff, but that whole time they're in the red. They've been giving to services now. They've been able to give money to different entities. They're doing okay now.
It's good.
But it's still that way. 2 years is an old timer in there. The old timers that would come to help, it's a daunting task to try and be of service for that setting I've seen for some of them.
And I can relate to that. I'm not
Well, you're getting to be.
I don't think of myself as an
No.
old timer. I don't think of myself as like being thoroughly versed in the literature, in the traditions, with the step, whatever. But I've over the past couple of years, especially since I moved back to the cities in I think early 2021, maybe, I felt some sense of I don't know if it's obligation, but draw. Like I was drawn to come back to Phoenix and I wanted to take on a service position. I tried to a couple times, once for sure that I know of, and I let somebody with less time take the position that I was going to go for because that's, to me, that's the right thing to do. Like, especially if they've never been of service, like absolutely let them be of service. I was just there. I was trying to fulfill a need. Yeah, I was going to get fed from serving there too. But the other part of it that I think I can relate to with some of these like old timers is I just, like you started off saying, I don't really handle situations the same way I used to. And I don't know that I want to invest that kind of energy into, and into like, how do I put this? Like, I don't feel comfortable enough with what I know about the traditions, the literature, and things like that. So I'm at a point
To be
where
the authority on it?
I'm not the authority on it. There is no there is
yes.
no authority on it, right? To be fair,
No,
there is no authority.
There is no authority on it. I get that.
4
And
years ago, I might have, argued with you and told you that I know exactly how it is and what it is and how it's supposed to be and whatever. That's not me today. And even if I do know the right answer, I don't know that I want to invest that much of my time and energy into, like, if it's as simple as just teaching people what it is, absolutely. But it's not that.
We know it's not that.
It's arguing with people about what they think it is and trying to convince them that it is what it is. And I don't have the energy for that anymore today. I may have the energy for it, but I choose to invest it in other areas.
Yes. Is that what you want to invest your energy in?
Yeah.
So like this, we spent a good couple minutes on that, and I think a lot of that was the growth of Matt K. It just is. Like over 6 years, a lot of things have changed.
I still have a sponsor. I still work
Speaking of that,
steps.
someone hopped on and said, "Hey, sponsor, a guy by the name of Kyle S."
Oh,
Thank you for the support, everyone, too. Good kid.
What up, Kyle? Have fun out there. Don't do things I would do.
What I wanted to bring up too about this whole thing, the 6 years, your birthday, because you brought up like you spent your 21st birthday in the Hoot Scout drinking some
The Hoot
lightning.
Scout drinking some hoot.
Did you see your? So all right. You also said like when you're younger, looking at 41, you thought you'd be so much further in life or whatever. But there was times in your life where maybe you were locked up. Did you see yourself being at this point? Was there a point in time where you looked at yourself not thinking you'd be where you're at now, buying a house and kids, relationship? Like, do you see positives here?
I think somewhere in the back of my head, I never had a clear vision on what I wanted in life, but I had just this rough idea on, like, I had the family I grew up with, and we were fairly dysfunctional, but I grew up with both my parents. I had one sibling. We had a house. We went to school. My parents had jobs. Both my parents owned different businesses at different times. So I had that like idea of what family is from what I grew up with. And then I'm guessing like a lot of people are like this, like you grow up a certain way and then you see things, whether it's like the majority of things you want to do differently in your life or just a few of the things you want to do differently in your life from how you grew up. That's how it was. Like I had some things that I wanted to be different, but for the most part, like I saw my life at this age looking like what my parents' life was probably like at this age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I just, in the back of my head, probably how I envisioned it. As far as like when I was locked up, thinking like, I never thought I would get clean. Like I mean, it's the thought, I don't know, man. Like I didn't think I had a problem until the very end. You know what I mean? And like the last year, I think, I didn't realize until I kept trying to quit and realized I couldn't stop on my own and I had to get arrested for my disease to become arrested and for recovery to become possible. Like I relegated myself to using until I died. And that's how I thought I would go because I quit on quitting, you know? So to say like when I was in prison, when I was in my early 20s, I wouldn't even admit that I was an addict, man. I didn't even admit that I was an addict until I was like 34 years old, you know, like in my last year of use. That was when I finally realized, like when I could not stop using no matter how hard I tried. That's when I accepted that I was an addict. And even though I'd been to treatment multiple times, been to a couple hundred meetings in my life, you know, whatever, 15 years prior to this. I don't know whether I really wanted to quit when I was 18, 19 years old or not. I went to meetings because I thought it was going to get my prison sentence reduced, which it probably did. But I had that experience regardless. But for some reason, I never saw it as an option. For whatever reason, the thought of reaching out to somebody in Narcotics Anonymous or even Alcoholics Anonymous, my dad's been sober now for 32 years, I think, in AA. I got an uncle that's been sober for like 35. So I had, I had friends that had been clean for a few years that I kept in touch with on a regular basis. And for whatever, and I even went to meetings with them when I was high. Like,
right.
And for some reason, man, like I just couldn't wrap my mind around it. And that's where I try, like, in some ways, I'm able to have some empathy for a using addict that can't see a way out of the situation they're in, because I know exactly what that's like. But on the other side of the token, my brain does not work like that today. That's how my brain worked when I was using, and I remember what that was like. Yeah. But I also, like, it's really hard for me to I don't know, man, like to like put myself back in there, because I was trying to get out of that when I was there, even though I didn't see a way out. And now that I'm out of it, to try to put my brain back into that mindset, it's really hard for me. Well,
it makes me think of two things. The first one is this, like you're alluding to it, the way I see it was, and it's not my words, I'm sure I heard it somewhere else, but once I realized it was a problem, it was a problem.
Yeah.
Once it was a problem, it was too late. Once it was too late, it was a problem.
Well, and the thing is, I had dozens, if not hundreds, of signs that. I mean, let's be realistic here, man. Like my juvenile record was over 3 pages long. No. I had I had been to treatment, I think, 3 times by the time I was 18. I turned 18 in treatment, in inpatient treatment. Like, I don't know, man. When I remember I was like 20 or 21 years old, and I had just started my prison sentence, and my dad comes to visit me, and he's like, "Haven't you had enough consequences?" And I remember just thinking, like, when I'm sitting in, doing a 5-year prison sentence for something that happened when I was using, like, how could I, like, and
how do our brains do
I
that?
was sober at the time. Like, I was clean. Like, I hadn't used anything for probably 9 months at that time. So, like, my head was pretty clear
as it was going to be.
But I still, like, for whatever reason, would not accept the fact that I'm an addict, that it's a problem for me, to the point where, like, I had to do that. I went through 7 months of, they called it the treatment unit, of inpatient treatment when I was in prison, to get my points reduced so I could go to minimum security. But so when you're in there, if I remember, I mean, don't get me wrong, this was a long time ago.
You're like 41 now.
Right. They were pushing, like, this is close to 20 years ago. So forgive me if my memory is not completely accurate here, but I remember something like you had to say you were an addict in order for them to move you on and graduate you. So, like, I'm like, fine, I'm an addict, and that was the first time, and I didn't mean it, but that was the first time I had even ever said it. Like, the couple hundred meetings I'm referring to when I was like 18, 19 years old or whatever, I think I got sentenced to some when I was a juvenile. They're like, well, you need to go to AA or NA or some 12-step group, whatever. Even like when I'd go to those, and when I was in treatment prior to that, I would always say, like, I'm chemically dependent. I remember saying that because that was my way
of not having to admit to being an addict.
Not admitting I'm an addict, but also somewhat admitting that I fit in there. Like, I belong here, but I'm not really like you guys.
But what you're saying, it totally, I don't know. I stopped fighting my head about this a while back, but, this is a disease. I just, for some reason, never was able to compare it to cancer. But over time,
it'll kill you.
I'm getting there. Over time, I was on one of these things. It's like, for starters, why do I need to know if it is or isn't? That was the first thing. So just stop fighting with yourself on. The second one is what you're talking about. 9 months clean, sitting in the hooscow, like, no, I don't have a problem. You're in there because of it. You see what I'm saying? That's a disease.
For anybody that's not 50 years old or above, the hooscow that Tim is referring to is jail or prison when you're incarcerated somewhere.
So while you're locked up, you have no freedom, and you're still like, no, it's not a problem. To me, like, our brain, like like you said, until it was a problem you could not fix, is when you realize like this is a problem.
And then, like, so yeah, once I realized it was a problem,
It's like too
all
late,
the
yeah.
but
Not too late, but
all the answers to it that were available to me, like I could have just gone to my dad or my uncle and been like, I need help.
Yeah.
And they would have fucking helped me.
in a heartbeat,
Excuse my
by the
language.
sounds of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had friends that I could have gone to and said, I need help. I can't stop doing this. And they would have helped me.
I could mute him just like that. Did you hear that? If I'd have known, I could have went like, "Hey, Matt," and whatever. So
I'm unpredictable, Tim.
I
I'm
never.
a
If
wild
I had
card.
a delay, if we were way, whatever.
If only.
So, you know, and I don't know if we in one of our past shows, I know you've been on more than once, but have we ever? And we're not gonna tonight. It's already, and I know
Give you 10 good minutes to finish this up. I'm
no,
not talking about your question to me right now. I'm talking about this whole interview.
I know.
Okay,
No,
cool.
I know, and I said this would be if at best an hour because dude, it's your birthday, you got family.
What
and
can we give the audience out there? What can I tell you about my recovery that is going to help some people? That's what I want to do. Like, what can I? This isn't all about me. Even though like I'm here
It
to
is.
tell whatever, man. Even though I'm sitting here telling you like my story, it's not about what I've been through or what I do today. The only reason it is about what I do today and what I've been through is so that I can help somebody else with my experience, with the pain that I've lived through in the past and the way that I've changed and been doing things differently today. The only reason I'm here talking about that right now is to try to help somebody that is in a similar situation that I was in the past, or even whether they're gone through anything similar to me or not. If they're just in a place where they don't see any way out, or they think they're the only one, or just to tell somebody like,
We've
hey,
got questions.
like I've wanted everything to be over. I've wanted everything to be done. I've wanted that in recovery. I've wanted that with over a year clean, you know, and I sought help. Thank God I was working a program. So I went and you know, checked myself in somewhere and reached out to somebody.
So here's the thing, audience, is in the next 5 minutes, if any other questions, post them and I'll make sure to get to them by time. Matt, we do have a question.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. Okay.
I was wondering why you're kicking my foot.
We're going to be outie pretty quick. I'm going to wrap you guys up quickly. A big question for you, and I think you can really answer this.
Okay.
It's about anger. And I know
Might be the foremost expert in the room.
And
I
I
don't
believe
know.
you are.
Elena might give me a run on my money, but
Nope, I'm doing good.
so
that is
Matt,
amazing.
the
I
evolution
love your
of
general disposition today, Elena.
the growth you've had dealing with situations prior to recovery, getting into recovery, and early recovery to now. Like, how have you learned to combat, deal with, approach situations that you know are going to be something that's going to bring you anger? Or how do you stop yourself from getting to that point of anger?
I think it's caused me anxiety, to be honest with you. Like I hold back on a lot of things that I would have said in the past, and I stew on them, and that's the anxiety I'm talking about. Is like I'll sit there and think about, here's what I want to say instantly. Okay, that's wrong. I think that's where, you know, some people in recovery talk about first thought wrong. Okay, first thing that comes out of my mouth is wrong because that's my thought. A lot of times in the past, what I was thinking would come right out of my mouth. Okay, you know that as well as anybody.
So what, pause? Or like,
I think you're muted.
I mean, like, pause? Like, what do you, yeah, you're getting to it.
Well,
I just
so
asked. Go ahead.
yeah, I stop, I think about it, but then I think the anxiety I'm talking about is like overthinking about it. Like, how is the other person going to react to that? Okay, when they react this way, then what do I say? Or then what do I do? Okay, so like I not only do I play the tape all the way through of like whatever situation I'm talking about, but I try to like take 5 different paths and say, okay, if they react this way, this is what I'm going to do, and then when I do this, this is what I'm going to do, and like
So you're
it's
playing chess in your
it's
head about it.
ridiculous, man. And I don't do that with everything. I do that with the most meaningful relationship in my life, and it.
He looked at his girl.
I do that. I do that just because I don't want conflict, but part of my personality that I've developed over 41 years of life has been to seek conflict, seek confrontation, be combative. Like that's who I've become over time. And
No, and this is where your friend can say, I'm not going to co-sign that shit. Because
Okay.
listen, maybe that's what it was. Okay. What I've seen in the last year that I've been talking to you versus up until that. Sure, you might still have these moments.
excuse me, that's who I've become in the previous 40 years. Over the last year,
Over this last year.
I've
Sure.
grown and
Over this last year, what
changed.
I'm going to say is the Matt that I encountered from year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of my recovery. It's not the Matt I've encountered this last year. That's why
It's the same Matt.
it's the same Matt, but when it comes to that subject of the combativeness and I tried to somehow form the question earlier right away, and I just can't, but it's not the same Matt. I don't see you engaging in something that's going to bring an argument or you snapping off about it. Now, I'm sure it might still happen. I don't know how things work because I'm not around you all the time. But the time I do have on the phone or interactions with you, it's not that way no more.
No, you're right. And I think it's come through experience of like negative results based on how I've done things in the past, right? Like I've learned from negative reinforcement based on my own actions and the way that I've reacted and handled situations and communicated. I've gotten results, good and bad, but mostly like at where I'm at in life today is I am more likely to avoid the pain that I've gone through in those situations in the past, especially when it's something I know I can avoid by not saying something dumb or not saying something that really doesn't need to be said. Like, why go through that? And it's not that I shy away from confrontation or conflict at this point. It's just that I don't know, man. Like I don't seek it the way I used to, and I've learned, man. And I can tell you too, like, don't get me wrong, man. I've been through plenty throughout the majority of my life, but this last year has been the most trying time in my life. And like the things that I have gone through regarding my two boys and my time with them and seeing them and like the things that I've gone through there would have tipped me over in the past and have tipped me over in the past, and I've lost my shit and I've flipped out and it's not gotten me anywhere but further in the hole, like in a hole, and make it harder to fight for what I was trying to gain, being more time with my kids, to be able to be a dad to them. So like I've had to suck it up and just deal with it and keep doing the next right thing. Like
You've grown through pain.
yeah, thanks
Pain
for
helps
summing
you
that
grow.
up for me, man. Well, let's
But-
end it at that.
No, one last thing too about something that I want us to touch on, and before you go, is like you've been to a ton of meetings, lots of recovery, and if we're not comfortable to talk about this, we don't have to. But professional side of things, you do other stuff for your sanity and your growth than just meetings.
Yeah,
correct?
I had individual therapy yesterday. What else?
I mean, let me just say this: is if someone out here
I
is,
take medication for depression.
I wasn't trying to dig like that. What I'm saying,
There was a time in my recovery where I took ADHD medication.
you've tried a lot for you've tried.
I have ADHD. I'm
you've
not
tried a lot
medicated
of
for it right
different
now,
things
but
for helping yourself have a better life.
yeah, man.
I mean,
That's
whatever it looks
ultimately
like.
what it is. I want to have a better life. You know,
the
I
mental
want
health
to.
side really came up a lot on the show this last few months.
Okay.
And I want any stigma of people being shy or ashamed or guilty about having to seek professional help, not just meetings. Like meetings, I stand behind, and fellowship, I stand behind. But if there's some mental health stuff going on, I'm strongly for like, hey, go seek some professional help. And if
Right
there's
in the
anyone-
traditions of both. I know both Fellowship of AA and NA. I don't know about the rest of the 12-step programs, but it says in the traditions, we are forever non-professional. Like, with there,
Yeah.
you don't go to a 12-step meeting and bring something there that you should be talking to a professional about, and that is like your health care, your legal situations. Like, don't go to a meeting and take their legal advice. I'm not saying like you're not going to get some advice from somebody based on what they've been through, but they're not a lawyer. Even if they are a lawyer, unless you're paying them, who knows what kind of advice they're giving you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need professional help. I have an attorney. I have a therapist. You know, I have a primary care physician. I go to a pharmacy. Like, I don't go to Doc down the street or whatever. You know, I don't know.
So
man.
what? Basically, he can verify and he backs it up too. Like, if there's some mental health stuff, just please seek something. Get outside of a meeting to go find some help for yourself with when it comes to mental health.
And
stuff.
a good thing to do at a meeting is to find somebody who's gone through something similar to you and ask them what they've done. You know what I mean? Like, if you see me at a meeting on one of those rare occasions that I go to an in-person meeting these days, if you see me there, come up and ask me, like, what do I do for my mental health? What do I do? Like, how did I start going to the doctor? Like, what do I, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to ask for advice as far as like, how did you get to where you're at? But to take their advice like they're a professional, that's what I'm getting at. Like, it's good to bounce things off of people at meetings. It's good to find out like how other people have gotten to where they're at, but to like take somebody's advice as though that they're a professional at a meeting. I'm saying like, ask like how they first got in touch with a professional or what they do. I don't know, man. Maybe I just gave a mixed message.
No, you didn't. You gave a perfect. No, Matt, you gave a perfect one. You basically said like, seek some help and don't be scared to ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sum that up and I stand behind that. So bear with us while I walk them out the door.
Escort us out of
before
the building.
you leave. As always,
Security.
You're on Attitude for Gratitude. Matt, what are you grateful for today on your birthday and in life today? What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for the opportunity to come here and chop it up with Tim and Elena and my boy Luke and my girl Ashley. And I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful to be clean today. You know what? Just in general, I'm grateful for a different way of life today, that life's different today.
Matthew, Ashley, Luke, thank you guys all for taking some time on Matt's special day to come in here and share some experience,
Thanks
strength,
for
and hope.
having us.
I
Did we
love you
answer
guys.
that? How we can help the newcomer? Did we answer that
No,
question?
why don't you leave with that? How do you help the newcomer?
Man, like talking to them, noticing them, seeing somebody at a meeting that you haven't seen before. That's one thing that I feel guilty about not having a home group for. Because when you have, that's one of the biggest things about having a home group is you know who's there regularly. You know when somebody new shows up so that like you can go and make them feel welcome. That's huge. Make somebody feel welcome. Invite them out to fellowship with you. Don't just assume because everybody at the meeting knows we always go to Dick's Diner and have fellowship at 10 p.m. after SNL. Like so-and-so should have known. They were standing right there when we were talking about it. BS. Like, go and if you don't know who they are and they don't know who you are and they look like they might not really belong, go and personally introduce yourself. If you've been around longer than a week or a month in recovery, go and introduce yourself to the person who looks uncomfortable. Say, hey, there's a group of us that go to this meeting. We're going to go have some coffee and some food, whatever. Why don't you join us? And they might say, oh, no, I'm good. Be like, no, seriously, you should come with. Like, it's a good time. Everybody's chill, whatever. You know, it's not like another meeting necessarily. We just talk about life, whatever, man. Like, and I mean, just make sure that you make them feel welcome to come and
That is good.
make them feel welcome in the rooms. And I say this because that's something I felt like I've sucked at for a while in meetings.
Early recovery, I felt left out. I did. I didn't.
By
know it.
me.
No,
you know,
but
I left
didn't-
you out, Tim.
This is all I ever was. I've never been in recovery prior to starting 5.5 years ago, ever. So when I came to these rooms, I didn't know anybody. The people from the streets were still in the streets. And that first year, I didn't, me of all people, I didn't speak up and I felt left out on a lot of certain places. Boo-hoo, poor me. But there's some people that would go back out over that and never come back or not feel welcome. Like I go out of my way. That taught me a hard lesson to make sure not to let someone else feel the way I thought I was feeling over those situations. I do my best to try to remember someone's name, what it's like to have a person. I've gotten feedback over the last few years. to remember someone's name, a newcomer, come back the second week, like, hey, Joe, good to see you. They fucking thrive. Pardon me, sorry guys. They'll thrive on that. That will carry
Get
them
it
through to the next
together.
meeting, and they'll remember that for a long time.
Our mutual friend.
Hey, Tim, you want to know something funny?
Yes.
You know where I met Matt?
Where?
The same place I met you, at the Sober and Serious Barbecue at the Coon Rapids Dam.
Yeah.
That's
That's
I
where
met
we
Matt.
met?
Yes, we were playing bags.
Okay.
But that's the exact same place that I met you.
It is. Sober and
Crazy.
serious. Quick question. What would you give? What kind of advice would you give to someone for, let's just say you brought up SNL, someone who's going to speak at SNL, let's just say tomorrow night. What advice would you give to them if they're in their feelings about it and all like butterfly in their stomach, even though they've spoke tons of times in their life and they're like nervous about it? What advice would you give to them?
Just talk, man.
Just talk.
Just talk. Like,
I have no problem doing that.
you know, think of a topic in your head and talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And tell people, I'm going to talk to you about this tonight. Pick something. Don't try to tell them your life story. Pick a topic, a recovery-related topic, something that's pertinent to your life right now. Pick a topic and talk about that. Talk to them for 50.
From the heart.
Yeah, from the heart. Thank you,
I love you
Ashley.
guys.
We
Thank you
love
guys
too,
for coming
Tim.
in.
Thank
Elena,
you.
why don't you start by telling us where you've been and how things have been going?
Talk to the newcomer. That was my point.
I can't even begin to tell you guys where I've been.
Love you, Elena.
I just want to point out that every time I see Matt, he always smiles at me and gives me a huge hug. I've never seen him angry. I've never seen none of that. So I don't know what y'all are talking about. He might have a moment every once in a while, but like I've never actually, he walks into a meeting and he just smiles. So, I've been out and about. I've been doing life to a point.
I love you guys. Good seeing Ashley.
I am still doing recovery. I'm still clean and sober. I'm still doing the things that I need to do. Kind of. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of doing those things.
Kind of doing what things?
Well, I don't go to as many meetings.
Nope, you don't.
I don't do fellowship.
Nope, you don't. But I've seen you over at Curtis's and Alicia's lately on
That's
Facebook.
because if you don't go to your sponsor's house, they will find you.
Yeah.
So and my sponsor actually had a conversation with me recently about the fact that I no longer do the things that I used to do.
How did that conversation look like?
Well, she told me that I don't go to as many meetings, and she told me that I don't do fellowship and that I don't do the activities.
The things
like,
you already knew.
the
But
things I already knew, but I've gotten to a point where recovery is still a big part of my life, but there's other things that are a big part of my life too. Like the me time, the being able to do things that I want to do that I can't do when I'm always dedicating all of my life to recovery. And sometimes, kind of like what Matt said, you got to step back and let the newcomer do it. If I'm always signing up for it, then how is somebody else going to sign up for it? So sometimes I just kind of back off. And I have this thing right now, and maybe it's mental health. I don't know what it is, but I don't like being around a lot of people.
But you've also came on the show so many times, and we had a segment for Elena called like healthcare or self-care with Elena. So
Yes.
I get it. If you're saying you needed some self-care, and that looks like
did.
you not coming to as many meetings. I get that.
I
do.
still hit up at least one meeting a week. I do have a sponsee that I'm hoping will start digging more into the program.
Because that helps you just as much.
Because it does. It helps me just as much. Like if I go to one meeting a week and then I meet with her once a week, I mean, it kind of helps out. 2 people make a meeting. So, I mean, life has just been a little busy.
How are the kids doing?
The kids are doing great. My oldest still is going to school up in Fargo. She's transferring to the U of M next fall.
Hey,
So
that is
Yep.
loud.
she is going to be back home.
She's coming. She's gonna stay with you while going to the U.
Possibly. So there's some stuff in the works. I might sell my house.
That was a question I was gonna ask because that was 5 months ago. You were talking about it.
Yep. So I've been thinking about selling my house. I have a friend in recovery that will end up being my realtor because he's amazing. Yeah. But other than that, I've been working. I was really ill for a while, and I needed to get better. I'm still getting a little bit better, but
Like flu, COVID type ill, or like some mental health stuff?
no, like illness, not mental health.
Okay.
But I'm doing a little bit better. I will tell you the healthcare system sucks.
The one you're part of?
And insurance systems suck.
The one you're part of?
So it's a trial and error in this world. It really is. And then I've been working. I work so much.
Yeah, how is the job situation going? Last time you were here, you spoke about, I think you had switched. You've been through 3 jobs since you're on the show. Are you at the most current job you're at now? Is that the same one you were at 5 months ago?
So maybe. So I had left. So I worked at a treatment center, and I had left to go
Yeah.
work somewhere else in an office, and it just was not for me. I cannot
office
sit
work?
in an office at a desk all day long answering the phone. That is not, no. I was supposed to be in charge of a bunch of home health aides, do all that kind of stuff, and that just was not for me.
Did you end up back in the recovery industry?
So I'm back in the treatment centers, the same one actually.
Okay. So they because you didn't burn a bridge. How did you end up quitting that job? Like, you left on good terms, apparently, right?
I stayed on call at the treatment center just in case the other one didn't work out.
Okay. Thought ahead.
So, oh yeah, I thought ahead because you got to make sure, like, and we still need nurses. I mean, we're still doing.
I was looking at your finger because my next question was something else. But
it's tough. Why? What's wrong with my finger?
Nothing. Just checking out that left ring finger, and then that was gonna be my next question. Something about that.
So yeah, life.
But you're back at that job, and that was a good move for you. You're enjoying it.
Yeah,
And
I'm enjoying
the
it.
Inner office, like politics stuff, you can handle.
Yes. I train.
I guess
people.
you still work there. I can't get you to start talking dirt
got-
about the place.
No, I train
never did
people. I
before.
got like 45 different clients at 3 different buildings. Like I make sure that I know everybody. So I mean, I mean, if you've been to treatment, you know, it's got some issues sometimes. Like some people get angry, some people don't. I've gotten to the point where I've just walked away from people, like back in the day, like kind of like we were talking about with Matt. I would have lost it on somebody if they got in my face and started yelling at me because of some issue that they had. And now I can just be like, all right, I'm going to walk away. You come and talk to me when you're ready.
And you don't take it home with you.
No, I don't take anything home with me. There's no point in taking it home with me because then it just keeps building the anger inside of me. And I don't need all of that.
Right. We just had that conversation last week about taking our jobs home with us. Like, or what? No, it was at the men's meeting at Will Work for Recovery at 5:00 on Wednesdays. Like, matter of fact, some people on the show are listening that were at that meeting, but some people were having a real rough time with being able to leave the job situation at home. You know, a rough day. How do you get home and shed that shit, like, and just live your day without the job taking over your serenity?
So I will say I do go home, and for the first 15 minutes of being home, my other half and I will discuss our job for the day. So I will vent a little bit just to kind of let him know how my day was going and what happened, and then he'll help me come up with solutions for things. And that's how we work together, because sometimes you have to have somebody else to help you come up with a solution, because if you're just coming up with solutions sometimes that anger is just going to sit there. So working out things and talking to people about things has really helped me. If I didn't have the people that I have in my life, and I know that I've stepped away from a lot of people in my life in the last 5 months, but being able to talk to people really helps out. And I've actually reached out to a few people. In fact, I sent him a message like a month ago and made like these huge amends because I just like stepped away and didn't contact him. So, I mean, and I'm sure there's more people because I used to talk to hundreds of people in recovery and I just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, but you know what, Elena, you've done. The way I see it is like that's kind of evolution of Elena too. It's happened almost 3 times that I'm aware of. Like, there was a time that you had to really, in earlier recovery, you stepped back, not for you, because early recovery is in the late 80s, you old bag. But do you remember, like, you were so involved with everything, and you basically, it was right around COVID where you realized, like, a lot of these people aren't my friends.
Yeah.
And you were making everyone, so you were close with so many people, and then it was like, thank you, Matt. I love you, buddy. Thanks for coming on the show. But it kind of seems like it happened again. Like but I don't know if it was not that it was as thought out, but I don't think it was to that same extent. But you were so involved with things, and now this last time that, you know, kind of like when you took some personal time from the show, it seems like you took personal time from everything. And yes, I'm reading this long ass, you guys don't see the quotes, this amends that's not necessary. And I think my response had a lot to say, like, hey, full disclosure, I know how it is, and you owe me no apologies or no amends at all, period. We know how it is. And I think, I don't know, a while back, whatever, like, just like anything, with anyone I care about, like, you okay? That's it? Text message, I'm good. That's all it's needed. But sometimes I get it, especially when there's mental health involved. Not saying that's what it was with you, but you had to take care of you. I'm all right with that. My ego really could use that. Just me here on the show. Speaking of ego, yeah, I speak tomorrow at SNL.
So
not looking forward to it.
It's funny that you brought that up, because when I got asked to speak at SNL, I called like 5 different women trying to get them to give me an excuse not to do it. And they're like, you're spending way too much time trying to figure out how not to do it when you should just go and do it.
Just go do it.
Just do it.
Oh, crap. I'm glad we were doing this podcast outside.
I like sitting outside. It's nice right now.
I know. We need to get back in, though. You know what, Alaine? I love you. I'm glad that you're here. And like I said, next week, Jordan's going to be on the show. I got to message her and let her know it's going to be at Will Work. But yeah, I hadn't talked. Didn't I tell you a while ago that I was thinking of that, moving the show to Will Work?
You talked about switching it to like a Wednesday.
Well, and that's the other thing is, like, I might end up doing a different night here, or I don't know. The podcast isn't leaving 2218. The podcast is still going to be here, just not going to be the same. Everyone who's listening, you'll be able to still find it the way you found it before. It'll still be on the same avenues. I believe it. Like, Will Work will be advertising it too. It's going to be still called Attitude for Gratitude. It might be a Friday night and Saturday night thing. And there might be some other hosts that start getting involved, because my ego shouldn't be a podcast host 2 nights in a row, and people don't want to hear me for 2 nights in a row. They have a tough time hearing me 1 night in a row. So we're going to be doing some bigger, different things. I was talking to Tad about some of this stuff. Like, he might get re-involved with it. I know he's doing some stuff with some social media stuff with where he works, I think, sports related. But bottom line is, like, I came to this conclusion a few months ago, like, this is my Friday night meeting. It's an open speaker meeting it's like my Wednesday meeting. Bunch of people just talking. So you're in a relationship, and it's only because you're in recovery that you're in this relationship, because you know this person from recovery, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So how's that going?
It's going good. It's
You
going
said
great.
earlier you're better. What'd you say? My better half, or my other?
My other half?
Yeah, you guys spend 15 minutes every day.
We do, talking about our days, so that way we can get it all out and it's not bothering us all night long, because then we can enjoy time with each other.
So does it ever seem like he'll come home from a hard day's work and just go on about his day, and then you guys don't talk about your day?
Yes.
And then in your head you're like, oh, fucking, we only talk about your day, and then that's all that matters? Like, how's that go?
No, so he'll talk about his day, and he'll vent about his day or whatever he's got going on, and then he'll walk away and go do something else. And I'm like, and I'll follow him, and I'll be like, wait a minute.
It's my turn.
Do I get a turn? Do I get to tell you how my day is? And then he'll stop and he'll smile at me and he'll say, yes, how was your day? What happened today?
You think it's just simply because, like, caught up in the moment of the conversation?
Yes.
I didn't even think to...
So 90% of the time I go first, because I'm straight and to the point, and sometimes he kind of drags out his stories a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I've had him on the show before. And it's not even that he drags out, just he's almost like methodically well thought out before he speaks.
He does. He thinks about everything before he speaks.
Like, I don't know. You guys hear me.
He wants to make sure he's saying the right things.
Yeah, I don't think that far ahead. You guys can tell on the show. I said I'm a cocksmith once. Like, come on. I don't think ahead sometimes. I know words. I can read words good. So, what does tomorrow in the future look like for Alaine? What kind of plans? What's going on? What's up?
I don't really have plans.
What goals then? Because I can hold you to the goals on this. What goals have you set?
What?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the other thing we
I don't-
brought up. Like, we knew in early recovery, we used to do goals. Like, there's all these things that we started. And yes, I get it. As recovery evolves for you, you heard it with Matt, like, things change. It's just, it happens. But there's some core things that do work. And, like, did setting goals ever work for you? Some people didn't. I don't ever recall a time like me setting these goals, me accomplishing goals. It was so rewarding. That never happened for me, but I don't think I ever really gave it a shot to really sit and set goals.
Every time I set a goal, I kind of lose interest after so long. I'm not going to lie. It just happens, or something else comes up and then I completely forget about it.
Right. So,
I mean, like Alicia called me this afternoon and she asked me how my 10th step was going. I said, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Like,
kind of like what you just did to me. What?
yeah. Like, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So is that just a defense mechanism of you avoiding you know what I'm asking? Is that just you, not lazy, but.
Well, so I'm kind of weird when it comes to that. So people know when I'm avoiding something because when I'm not avoiding something, I'm all in. I'm all in, getting it done, doing it. And if I'm avoiding something, I won't even bring it up. I won't, like, you start talking to me about it, and I'm going to find some way to change the subject and be like, oh my gosh, did you know this? And then guess what I heard last week? Yeah, I'm going to change
Elena,
the subject.
how are you doing? Oh my gosh, my AC doesn't work.
Yeah, my AC doesn't work. It's going to be 102 degrees on Wednesday. Somebody pray for me.
So when you guys getting married? Oh my gosh, Tim, did you get a new computer?
That's funny because Alicia asked Mike that. He goes, when are you guys getting married? Because I already have the whole wedding planned out.
She'll be your best lady, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the response to that one?
He looked at her.
I can see that.
He looked at her. It was actually quite comical.
Did everyone start laughing before you said anything?
Yes.
Yeah. Did
Yes.
anything get said?
No, because that's a conversation between me and Mike.
Yeah, I know. And that's something. So it's a conversation you guys haven't had.
We've had some conversations. So Mike did get me a ring.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it on the show a year ago.
He did get me a ring, and it's a pretty...
It's a beautiful
it's
engagement ring.
It's a pretty big ring, but the way that he explained it to me is that because of the amazing person that I am and this and that, he bought me this ring. And
Assholes who,
there's
like,
another
him.
one to come because he's very he likes to give people gifts.
He's a people pleaser.
He's
Yeah.
I don't know. He's amazing.
He's a people pleaser.
His birthday was Wednesday.
Happy birthday, Michael.
I got him an amazing gift for his birthday. He doesn't need any more tool sheds, but of course I got him and flip another one.
She's going to throw something at me here soon. I'm making all these
I'm
weird
not
gestures.
going to throw nothing at him.
So, you know what? Like, no, and that's awesome. And I ask a lot of these questions I ask for my own personal journey. But, like, him giving you a ring and giving you an explanation like that, you okay with that? Let's
Yeah.
be real here.
I am.
Are you excited for some big wedding or something? Are you past that or what?
I would like to be married someday. Like
Married.
That's,
I'm saying the nostalgia of that, the girl in the white gown and the walk in the aisle and
yes,
blah,
because
blah, blah.
I was married once before.
Mm-hmm.
I got married when I was 6 months pregnant with my second kid, and I wore a dress that I bought at the Goodwill back in 2004. Not even because I was broke. I was a single mom.
Right.
I already had one kid.
So you didn't have your fairy tale wedding.
So I didn't have the fairy tale wedding. I would love to have the fairy tale
Okay.
wedding someday.
And you don't think age means shit when it comes to wanting that, correct?
No, I don't.
And I'm asking because I'm in a similar situation where like the conversation hasn't been a hard conversation, but it's something that like it's got to be thought about. If you're gonna be with someone, like I'm over here on this, like what's a piece of paper? I'm not gonna love you anymore because we signed a piece of paper saying we're married, which isn't correct when it comes to a woman. I get this now.
So I will tell you, as a woman, in the last 20 years, I've been in 2 very long-term relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Well, long-term relationships are great, but what if something happens? Like when you're married, you have that person that can speak for you, the person that you've actually told everything to, the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life
like
with.
a DNR, or what are you talking about?
Just everything. Like that's the person that knows everything. Like that's the person that can be there for you. That's the person that you go on your vacations with and spend your life with and do everything with. And
I'm not fighting marriage. I'm not. What I'm saying is,
I get it.
why can't all that still be the case without having some wedding?
just some people want the wedding.
Okay,
Some
so
people
it is
want,
just that nostalgia.
and it's not just the wedding. It's the being able to say, like, this is my husband, this is my wife, like, this is the person that I've pledged that I'm going to spend
Right.
the rest of my life with.
like, no, here's another question.
I can tell you, Tim, that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you, but that really means nothing.
Why?
Yes, there's divorce,
why does that
but
really mean
hopefully
nothing?
because some people want more.
But I guess like I'm gonna tell you, like, under God's eyes and me making this commitment to God and my girl, like, hey, I love you, I want to be with you. If the same thing doesn't change, we're okay. Now the only thing happens if that doesn't work out, then we have to go through some paperwork to make that not happen, meaning the divorce. But I don't know who's ever thinking of that aspect when we get to this point of marriage. I'm not thinking about how we're gonna get through it if we get divorced. Yeah. Any way I talk about it sounds like I'm fighting the communion.
I just
of
know that I've
marriage.
been married before and I've been divorced, and I don't want that to happen again.
Well, no one wants to ever
And
get
I'm
divorced
done.
again.
And me personally, I'm done with the long-term relationships where it's just a relationship and this is my girlfriend after.
But what about here's a ring and we're together and we live together and this? But you want to be able to say this is my husband.
Well, and right now I
You
kind
still
of already
can.
say it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, that's perfect. My buddy Mike Kruger, or Mike K, and his lady Terry, they had a ceremony in a beautiful spot with like like a shaman type deal.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pastor and it wasn't a government document signed. They're together. They live together. They're together. That's his wife. That's the husband. Something like that. And now I think I'm just like breaking branches. It's so like almost petty, but I don't know. That's how, anytime we talk about this, it feels like I'm going to be arguing someone on it, and it's not the case. It's not the case. I just feel like,
Well, everybody
I-
has
and
their
I also-
own opinion on
yeah,
it.
I don't want it to sound like I'm some anti-government, but I don't need government involved with my decision to be with someone for the rest of my life. I don't need them to approve it or to unapprove it if it doesn't work out, and to pay their fucking fee to do it, even though it's probably like $30-$40. Spend
For
that
the
poll tabs
for a
in 2
marriage
minutes.
license.
Yeah, hog shit. I don't know. I get in my head about this stupid thing. Like, okay, this document's not going to prove I love you anymore. But if that's what it'll take for you to think I love you some more, okay. But then my head wants to do this. What, are you that shallow that you need a piece of paper to prove I love you? And I'm not talking about Jess. I'm talking about in general.
And it's not just about the piece of paper.
What's the other side? I got a girl here. I
It's-
can tear it apart now.
It's about lots of things, and I really just don't want to go into conversation about this right now on your recovery podcast.
Dog and does. All right, so what are you grateful for?
I
No,
swear, Tim.
Elena,
I swear.
what's been the biggest hurdles in this last 6 months?
In the last 6 months?
Yes.
My health.
Your health.
Yeah.
How have you combated it and how have you gotten over it?
I'm still getting over it. I'm still extremely tired where all I want to do is sleep. I work really hard and I go home and I fall asleep and I feel bad for the people in my life because sometimes they don't get to spend as
So
much
no
time
energy
with me.
at all.
I have almost none.
Do women have testosterone?
Women have lots of things.
No, I'm saying like
They have-
men
they have
like
estrogen.
estrogen. So that's their form of testosterone.
Yeah.
So like have you had that tested? Your levels?
Yes.
Okay. We should have talked ahead of time so I know what I'm asking.
I mean, I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I've been really sick and I've been anemic. And
What does anemic mean?
means that you have low blood levels and
Okay.
stuff like that. It got to the point where I almost had to have a blood transfusion.
Okay.
And unfortunately, due to the health system and insurance and stuff like that, my insurance will not pay for the surgery that I need. So now I have to continue to live with this. And we have to try to find ways. And most of the time, it's medication, which I'm a firm believer of not taking medication.
If not needed.
And
You're a firm believer of not taking medication if there's other routes.
Yes. So if there's something else, then why make me take a medication every single day for possibly the rest of my life?
If we could fix this with one 45-minute operation.
Yes.
I get that.
But
I get
unfortunately, insurance companies do not want to do that.
And no, I get that. And that's unfortunate. You're right. It is unfortunate. I asked because like this last few years, but for me, I know what did I expect? I packed on 70 pounds, and I haven't slowed down with cigarettes. And why else do I think I have no energy? Like, I'm no dummy. And I go to the doctor, and I ask him, he's like, we can check your testosterone. Like, all my levels look fine, this and that. And it's like, I know the answer. Like, stop eating like an asshole and maybe consider working out, not just your physical job, working out. Maybe stop smoking. Maybe start being a little more healthy with what you eat. Like, I know these answers, but I want some other easy fix. I want to take a pill.
And
that'll
I've
help.
started doing things like that. Like, we cook great meals with vegetables.
I'm not talking about you.
No, but I'm saying, like, I've done that recently. My biggest issue is now that I've gotten to a certain age, there's other things that are starting to kick in. So, like, we found out that I have a thyroid issue. And it really was messing with me.
Hyperthyroid or what's the other one? My mom dealt with that.
It's hyper or hypo. So I
Yeah.
have hyper. So my level was at an 8, and it's supposed to be like between a 2 and a 3 or a 2 and a 4. So yeah. So
no, my mom had that one of them where all of a sudden she had no energy, falling asleep, standing up, no energy, and they found out like whatever levels were wrong, and she some type of something thyroid, hypo or hyper.
and I swear I went through 5-6 different doctors just to figure that out.
And you're talking quality of life going down the shitter when that's off. And she has to take a pill every day of her life.
Yep.
And without it, she's back to no energy. And we're talking about a lady who, she's retired but still works out slanging hash, serving, waitressing. But whatever. It's just, we get older. We've got some other issues you have to start dealing with. But you're combating that stuff as needed.
Yeah.
Responsibly. Do you have any changes in the future for what your recovery is going to look like? Do you have any goals about changing what your recovery looks like? Or are you content with the way your recovery is going?
I can't say that I'm content. I would like to go to some more meetings. I would like to do some more stuff with service. It's just, I'm not gonna lie. It's when I
You
go
have some deep-seated resentments against
when I
the
go-
word service.
It's not about.
Right?
It's not exactly about the service. It's about the everything that has to do with service that I've seen. Besides saying hello to somebody when they walk in a door or making some coffee, like going to all these big events and stuff. I can't do that many people. Like,
Right.
I get anxiety now. I don't know why,
Is
but
that
I just.
agoraphobia, or is it a form of that where just big crowds of people, do you get emotionally affected, or do you get like mentally? You know what I'm asking?
I think that it happened after COVID. I'm not gonna I think it happened after COVID. I took my daughter grocery shopping today, and we plotted it out before we went in the store that this would be an in and out.
Why do you get like panic
And,
attacks
yeah,
type
I
deal?
just can't be around those people. Like, I just start to sweat and I start to feel gross,
Right.
and then I start to feel lightheaded, and it's just I can't. And it's weird because I can go to work and I can be around all these clients that I work with and I'm fine. But the moment that I'm around other people, and maybe it's just because I know my clients.
Well, and even though it's not so controlled, it's a controlled environment. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. Even though there's so many unseens, it's a controlled environment. Versus going to a grocery store, versus going to a recovery outing where there's hundreds of people and the energy is through the roof.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, when COVID was here, I wasn't afraid of COVID. There's something that happened after that where I'm just like, I can't be around these people.
What happened
Like,
was you were shut off from everyone for so long that became good and the new normal. And then when you started getting introduced to bigger crowds and shit, it affected you.
and you know what's funny about that is that before COVID happened, I always had to be around people because I thought that I wouldn't be able to live life without being around people and stay sober. And then COVID happened, and now I'm going on almost 5 years, and I'm fine. Like, I know that's not a good word. Nobody likes the word fine, but like, I'm fine. I don't think about drinking.
Fucked up, insecure, neurotic.
I don't want to go to the bar. So I did have a friend ask me the other day if I ever think about drinking anymore. Yeah, sometimes I'll think about how fun it used to be to come home from work and sit outside in the sun and drink a glass of wine and relax after work. But it didn't stop at a glass of wine. So then I have to stop thinking about that because then it just got worse.
You said an 8-ball and 4.
Yeah, exactly. It just got worse because we don't just stop at that. We have to keep going and get more. And then I feel like crap the next day, and I don't want to feel like that anymore. I already feel like crap already. I don't need something
No, I
else
get
to
it.
make me feel even more like
That
crap.
you did by choice.
Yeah.
I get it. I do. Okay, Elena, how's your higher power situation looking lately?
My higher power is amazing. I talk to my higher power every day.
Explain to the audience what your higher power looks like.
So my higher power in my eyes is nature. And it's not that I believe that nature is better. I don't believe my higher power is better than anybody else's. I will never say that my higher power is better than anybody else's. It's just what I believe in. I believe in something that I can see. I believe in the fact that all the leaves fall off of the trees and then in the spring they come back and they grow. And that reminds me that I can keep growing no matter how much I'm doing in life. I have some dead trees in my yard and I keep thinking about what I'm going to do with those. And when you think about nature, I can cut down these 5 dead trees and then I can plant 5 more and something else can take its place. And I'm going to be able to watch this grow and I'm going to be able to watch the deer walk through my yard. One of the saddest things about me if I sell my house is the fact that I love the fact that I have wildlife in my backyard.
Crazy wildlife. You're
I
right on
just
the
took a
park
picture
reserve.
of 2 cute baby deers, little twin deers with their spots all over them still.
Those would be called fawns.
You know, whatever. The point is that I took a picture of them,
They're
and,
the best
and it
eating.
was, oh my God! Somebody else said, somebody said that to me, and I said, look at this cute picture, and they're like, that's dinner. I'm like, the fuck? No.
You know what? And something came up to someone else shared that like one guy was like, the universe is my higher power. Another person was like nature. And then someone wanted to write a comment, and you know what? Like, and their comment was this: well, who do you think made the universe? Who do you think made that nature? And the guy responded, he's like, no, I'll respond. I don't need to know. I don't need to know. This is what works for me. If you have a problem with it, you need to go buy a mirror, figure out what's going on with you, because I don't really care about what your problem is with my higher power. This is what works for me. And I back that. Whether I believe what your nature is, whether I believe it or not, I'm okay with it. It doesn't affect me.
And there's so many different religions out there that seriously, like, you can tell somebody who do you think made nature, but how do you know that person made nature?
In your heart,
You
sure, you
don't.
might, but this is where, God, we can get down a really nasty rabbit hole, but this is where I see a huge problem with a lot of stuff is politics, religion, belief with abortion shit.
Which is not supposed to be part of the recovery program.
And you know what though? I bring it up, so I make it
I'm
part
saying
of
when
it.
other people say stuff, like I've heard people in meetings saying, well, you have to have God as your higher
and
power.
that you have to shit has got to go. Like, you know what? Hey, A, B, and C, if that works for you, perfect. I'm so happy you found something that works for you. This what works for me. If you can't accept that, that's on you.
Yes.
Like, if you can't accept what Elena's higher power is, I'll pray for you. I feel bad that you can't let someone else have their own happiness. And that's, to me, what it comes down to. Like, who I say ABC, like Tom, Dick, and Harry, if they find their happiness through whatever they consider their higher power, whether it's Buddha, God, the Messiah, whatever, good.
So I will tell you, Tim, I'm an atheist, but I still, because my sponsor tells me to, I will still pray for people. I just pray for people a different way.
Yeah, and that's good. I'm happy you have a way of getting, I guess it goes to this, like, I don't care about it, not you, but I'm going to use you as an example. I don't care what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And if I start caring about what you do, I've got a major, major problem. And I'm not telling, and now here's the other side. It's like, if someone out there listening doesn't agree with Elena's shit and you got a problem with it, like, I hate saying it, but I feel bad for you. And that sucks for you that you can't live your life in a way that you can accept your own shit and you're worrying about someone else's shit. I feel that way about politics. I feel that way about religion, about personal beliefs. Unless it directly affects my life, why do I have a say in what you believe? Mm-hmm. And why should I be here trying to change your beliefs? And you do. I bring up politics because you see it all the time.
Well, the best thing about recovery is that they say that you can take what you want and leave the rest.
Yep.
So it shouldn't matter what I say about what I believe in or anything like that. If you don't like it, then you can leave it. Yeah. And you can listen to what somebody else says and take what they say.
100%. Like,
I hear a lot of people say that they didn't like a meeting because of something somebody shared. Well, there was probably 10 other people in that meeting that shared something, so you should have found something from them.
And you're going to let you're going to let them dictate your happiness and recovery? That's how I've always looked at it. And I'll get in my head about, like, I'll hear someone really going on and rambling about something. I'm like, these fucking idiots. But I also, like, that's cool. You got your own shit. And if that's working for you, I always say this. If you rest your head on your pillow at night and you're good to go, like, you have no issues, fucking good. Mm-hmm. Good. Now, if you're over here getting pissed off at anything and you notice like everyone's assholes, you know what? It's probably you. You're probably the asshole. If everyone's bugging you, everyone's getting under your skin, everyone's doing shit wrong, everybody, it's probably you. And it's a hard pill to swallow. I was at that point for a while. Like everything was frustrating and pissed me off. Like I realized like, shit, I got to work on Tim. I got to worry about Tim because the more I'm worrying about someone else's shit, someone else's beliefs, or the way they're doing A, B, and C, I've got an issue with me. I've got to fix me. And that's, I believe that with higher power stuff. I'm always curious to ask people about their higher powers and how does that work for them. And I didn't ask you how it worked for you, but you already told us. Like, that brings you your serenity. I'm happy for you. I'm so happy for someone that can find it. And I share about that when I tell my story or I share down at Fairview. Like, so many people come on the show. I've heard at least 10 different ways people are living their life when it comes to their spirituality side of things, whether it's none, religion, Buddhism, transcendental meditation, the universe, nature, what's that other? There's like 3 or 4 more. And it's like, that's awesome. Fuck. All I ever tell people who are listening, I challenge them to go have an experience with something else, especially if your life is shit.
So I've had some people comment on me at the end of meetings because I don't say the Lord's Prayer at the end of a meeting.
Yep.
I'll close my eyes with everybody else and I'll do what I need. But a lot of times I'm saying things in my head like the gratitude prayer, anything. Like there's
John B comes on. He'll if you ask him, he'll tell you, but it's not like he goes out of his way to tell people. But same thing. He closes his eyes during it. He says the third step prayer and then says whatever else he needs. And the reason he doesn't say the Lord's Prayer is he's like, I don't understand it.
Well, so I've talked to someone about this before, and I think that in some meeting I think that we should say that I am responsible more often, because then it reminds us what we're here for.
Yes. They do
The
that.
Lord's Prayer doesn't
every
remind us
time.
what we're here for. It closes the meeting.
Well,
but
for you it
it's
doesn't.
nice to be, yes, for me it doesn't. But it's nice to be able to remember that when we get to the end of the 12 steps, that we are responsible for helping the next person.
No, I agree with that. I do. And I like that statement. And the reason I really always did like it was the easiest one to remember in early recovery.
Well, and it's at
so
the bottom
short.
of all the steps.
Yeah.
Well, not in this room, but other places it is.
I am responsible. When anyone, anywhere reaches out for help, I would like the hand of recovery to be there for me. And that way, I am responsible.
Yep.
Alaina, take us home. Talk to us about whatever you want until we wrap up now.
I don't know what you want me to say, Tim.
Talk about your gratitude.
My gratitude, I'm grateful for many things right now. I'm grateful that my kids are healthy and still love me no matter what happens. They've really stepped up with me not
During
feeling
this
well.
time?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it just goes to show how responsible they are. Tomorrow I'm picking up my nieces because they just decided that they wanted to have a sleepover with their aunts. So we're going to a hotel to go swimming.
Nice.
I got to tell you a funny story. So I have a 10-year-old niece with autism. I absolutely love her. And then I have a 5-year-old niece that is the Spitfire image of me and my sister with her attitude. And my sister and her husband, they have a friend of theirs that lives with them in their basement. And my oldest niece the other day asked her, "Where's my uncle?" And my sister said she's at a friend's house. And the 5-year-old, without even skipping a beat, said, "I didn't know he had any friends." Like, what?
That's good.
She doesn't even have to think about it. It just comes out. So she totally is my niece. Like, because I don't think about these things. And that's the problem sometimes, is that I don't think before I speak, and then it's like out.
That was a big growth about Matt. Like that's what he said. I think before I speak now.
Yeah.
That's always been my problem. I still do it. I do it on the show all the time. Cocksmith, come on.
Oh my gosh.
Come on. Ah, Alaina. Audience, check it out. Like, you heard Matt talk about it. You've heard Alaina. Shit, tonight we've talked a lot about our health. And I'm telling anyone, like, if you're dealing with some stuff with your health, go get some help. And if you can't, like, reach out to a social worker, and they will explain to you how to find the means to go get that help. Otherwise, come down to 2218. Check out some meetings. Get over to Will Work for Recovery. Check out some meetings. If you're looking for some, like, spiritual recovery, like, we always talk about Serenity Village here. We talk about Eagle Brook here. We talk about all sorts of stuff. But do something for yourself. Like, fight for your recovery. There's been multiple people who have checked in tonight. I appreciate you guys. You can always use this thread, like the comment section. Use that to network. I put my phone number up there. You can hit me up anytime. If I don't answer, keep trying or leave a text or move on to something else and go find a meeting. Like I said, there's so many outlets to meetings. You can go through my library. I've got over 150 shows over the last 3 years. Like, check it out. There's lots of different avenues. Or do like I did. Google how to get sober, how to get clean. Google that shit. We're in that era nowadays. So, Elena, thank you for coming back. Can I ask you on air and hold you to it? Like, will you be part of some of the shows moving forward?
Yes.
I'm not asking you every night.
Granted that I will say, granted that I'm not extremely exhausted from life. Yes,
Right.
I will.
Well, then good. I got to get this out of my ear. Perfect. Well, you want to say anything to the partying audience before we're out of here?
No, it's good to see everybody that's been on there. I do miss a lot of people. I will start reaching out a little bit more. I know I
Yes.
say that, but I will start reaching out a little bit more.
On air. You said it. And I echoed it so you could hear it more than once.
You can't see my face, so you really don't know if it's me talking.
It's her. I don't have AI. With that said, we love you and thank you again, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week from We'll Work for Recovery with Jordan S. and all the board members from We'll Work for Recovery. And then following week, we'll be back here at 2218. Check the page. I'll put some links up. I believe we're still going to be able to find it through the same avenue, but there will be more avenues. So just stick around. We love you, man. Fight for yourself. You're worth it. If no one's told you yet today, I'll be the one. I love you, man. I love you, girl. I love you,